Hi, I'm Russ with Devoted Golfer TV, and today I've got my golf shaft reviews and my Fit to Score hat on. And the people that you see assembled here, Woody Lashin, Daniel Sperling, Frank Viola, are all top 100 fitters rated by Golf Digest, and they are all users of my software. And they've been users of my software for a very long time. In Woody's case, Daniel's new. Frank's had it for several years, owns one of the machines. You own one of the machines as well, yeah. So what I want to do in this video is get a little insight from you guys about how your fitting practices are enhanced by understanding golf shafts from my point of view.
Well, I always say, when I went to school and we had a formula, and he said, well, here's a formula, just put the number in. And that was in class, you couldn't do that. You had to work that formula out, right? Mm-hmm. So understanding the formula and how the formula works is the reason why we had to learn that way. So when we put the number in, you understand how the formula was working. Mm-hmm. So understanding EI curves is the same thing. At the end of the day, you're in a fitting bay, you're trying to get results for someone to hit the golf ball better. But if you don't understand how that shaft is working, and you don't understand the inner workings of that shaft, you really can't help somebody find the shaft that's going to work best for them. When you have that knowledge, when you have all the knowledge of how is it bending, where is it bending, what's the torque, all the information that we can get from the software, then we can do a much better job. Are you going to, in every fitting, be showing someone, oh, look at you? You're not doing that, because you could just, people could go crazy. But boy, you better have that knowledge. And then also having the ability to compare shafts, right? So we get shaft A, shaft B. I can't tell you how often someone comes in with a shaft that we don't use, right? But I can go look it up. Yeah. And I can see, okay, because I forgot what it was.
Yeah.
You know, maybe it's an old shaft or something like that. You can go back and you can get it, and you can say, this is what they're using, they're having success with. Let's start with that direction.
Yeah, and I know that you do a lot of shaft comparisons as well, don't you?
Shaft compare, I mean, to me, that's my favorite part of the software. To start out with, I was one of the old guys, and I still look at some of those numbers with butt frequency and all that, and then I'm saying to myself, there's more to this. And that's when I met Russ, and we started talking about the EI curves. I started to see them become more prevalent when the OEMs were putting them out to the marketplace, and it helped me tremendously. I bought a machine because I didn't quite understand what all this stuff was about. I wanted to measure them on my own and say, okay, look, how does this work? How do I validate what Russ has here in his program? And how does it compare? Let me start measuring shafts so I could understand it. And I did that, whether you're trying to fit a guy to something like we talked about a little earlier, a softer midsection, stiffer tip, stiffer butt. And then once I measured shafts, and I measured shafts pretty meticulously for about 2 to 3 years, I'll say. And once I started, then everything just started to come together for me. And to me, the nicest part, now I don't do many shafts anymore because I understand what's going on. Very privileged to have his program, and I don't think I could fit without it. And the most important part of the program I like is the shaft comparison tab that we were talking about. I have probably 125 wood shafts on the wall, and there may be something that I have that I can't get, or in other words, is if I have something and I want to go to something a little bit different or pretty much the same, I have the availability to look at 4 or 5 different shafts that I do have on my wall that are similar. So to me, that's the most important page in that whole program. And again, I just couldn't fit without it. It's been a tremendous addition. I can't tell you how much time it has saved me from just kind of meddling through shafts and almost, I don't want to say wandering aimlessly, but it's pretty close, So yeah, I'm a definitely big proponent of that. I learned a lot from it. I learned a lot from the machine itself, and I just find it to be a tremendous asset, a time saver, and pretty much hit the nail on the head every time without too much trouble.
Yeah. Now you're new to this business compared to the rest of the guys sitting out here.
I am.
You don't have a machine.
I do not have a machine.
Yeah. But and so
he will.
Yeah. So you
Working on it.
So how did it help you get started in the business?
So I got started in the business at a big box retail setting, and I started learning about fitting and things like that. And, I was just kind of relying on what I could find on websites, the manufacturers' websites and things like that. And then once I found the Fit to Score, the golf shaft reviews, then it was just served as an ultimate resource for understanding what we were doing. And again, you really can't
So you're
fit
not
with
big box anymore. You have your own studio.
That's right.
Yeah.
We started a studio in North Carolina at NC State University, and it's been growing and growing over the last couple of years, and we're starting to get some recognition in the golf business, and we're fitting and building right there on site. We don't outsource anything. It's on a component level, just like these guys here, and we're trying to grow it, and it's open to the public. And I use the software in front of the people that I fit for. Once you understand what you're looking at and how to interpret it, it's not that difficult to convey it to someone that's coming into a studio that's serious about fitting, that has personal accounts with these vendors and things like that. The information highway is so big now. I have plenty of people that come into the studio that have already done their due diligence. They know around about what they're talking about. And using the software, it's just so easy to narrow your focus into what you really need to be looking at. There's a part in the software where you can specifically select the manufacturers that you can choose from. No, we don't sell for all the manufacturers that are on the software, so I'm just able to filter it in that way right alone. And then we find a profile that works, and using the shaft match, we're able to kind of just go straight to something that we need to spend time on and find what we need and move on to the next golf club or component, whatever we're doing. For full bag fittings, you need to keep that moving.
Yeah.
And when you've got 150 wood shafts on the wall and 60 iron shafts on the wall, you got to keep it going.
Yeah.
Now,
one of the things that you've said to me over time was that when you got the software up and running, you understood overlaps of shafts and built your fitting system so that you would have unique shafts rather than having the same shaft from 3 manufacturers.
Exactly. And that was a money saver right there. I mean, I don't, my main components that I fit with are TaylorMade, Callaway, and Mizuno. And all I do is I don't have a universal fitting type system. I'd rather go out and spend the money on the shafts and put them in all the proper adapters. That's just me. And there were, I noticed on the wall, when I first got my machine and then the program, I'm looking at the wall and saying, wow, you got a lot of shafts up there that are pretty much the same. And over this past 4 years since I've had your machine and the software, I've been able to separate those shafts quite a bit so that there were no overlaps, or, if I had one that was great, if I didn't have one in inventory, what do I have that's close, that works? So I was really able to narrow down the amount of shafts that I had on the wall for fitting, tremendously.
Now,
I just want to say something about Daniel over here. To me, it's really cool because I started from wooden woods, right? Mm-hmm. And everything we had to do club fitting, we had to learn on our own. There was no one to tell me anything. So I've always was asking, I want to understand shafts, understand shafts. And we knew about EI profiles, we couldn't get them, right? We got one manufacturer would give us a set of curves, someone else, they don't look the same because they're not measured on the same device. Mm-hmm. So how can you use them to compare? All of a sudden, you came along, I'm like, I want a machine right away. He's getting the advantage as a guy who's starting out of something that it took me 30 years to learn, because he has access to the software. It's amazing. Mm-hmm. It's a huge advantage to someone starting out, because he doesn't have to try and fall down and break his leg a few times before he can learn how to walk.
Yeah.
I think that's great.
That's an interesting point. Now, I kind of remember at some point you were, when a manufacturer would bring something in that you hadn't seen yet, wouldn't you use the machine to
Always.
Yeah,
always. Well, I mean, that's
so you validate.
it's the advantage of having the machine is that, and sometimes manufacturers will send us a prototype, hey, test this, and, we want to, before we hit it, it's like anything else. That TaylorMade sends you a new head. You take it in the back and you weigh it, and you check the loft.
Yeah.
We do, that's what we do, right?
Yeah. The first thing I do is pull out the scale.
Right. Let's,
Yeah.
But before it gets hit, my guys got that thing apart, and we're measuring everything as much as we can. So you want to have that ability with the shafts. And the thing is, for a guy like me who's bigger than maybe most, so maybe I have more shafts, more manufacturers, but you got the same database, right? You could, I got this one driver, I love it. Well, I don't carry it, Jeff. Hold on a second. Let me go. That's what this is. You know what it is. Now you can go. It's amazing.
You do some of the same thing,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely. Like I said, I narrowed. I mean, when I first started using it, I saw how many shafts that I had on my wall. And that number is down now from probably 200 plus. And that's being able to focus. And, the customer in the end, all he wants is the right equipment for himself. And like we talked about, it's kind of funny. I'll print out a sheet or whatever from the, whether it's from the shaft comparison tab, or they don't care. You know what? Whatever you're doing, I trust you. Just go ahead and do it. Those numbers are really good for us as fitters, and I haven't found that the public has been too interested as long as they trust you as a fitter and you know what you're doing.
Well, don't you think that's why they come to us, right?
Exactly.
They
Exactly
come to
right.
Frank because I don't want to know. I want to know how can I play at my best golf.
Exactly, yeah. They don't want to get into particulars or anything like that.
Yeah,
They don't need to.
I get some of the same feedback. The customer looks at me and goes, I don't want to know that stuff. I trust you.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are nice words to hear from a customer. I trust you.
Yeah.
That didn't come overnight. You have to earn every bit of that.
every day.
He's earning it right now.
Yeah.
Which is great.
It's a little bit, it's great to have the resource because fitter, master fitter, these are diluted terms in
Oh, yeah.
the industry now. It's kind of understanding what is a master fitter. I mean, in my opinion, a master fitter is someone who fits you for a golf club and builds it for you. Just a comprehensive understanding of what he's doing and why he's doing it for you specifically. And again, there's information that you need in order to do that, and I just don't see how you can do it properly and call yourself a master of your craft if you don't have it, because it's guesswork if you don't have it, and you can't rely on what people are telling you or the manufacturer is telling you. And there's no standards in the golf business. Components are all different. Heads weigh all different. They're all different. And you have to be able to measure them and figure out how to bring them to life for a specific player. And now with using the software, it's a solid platform to go from. Now we have a uniform surface to stand on and say, okay, I've got a place to start. And I've got a place to take you. And I can guarantee you through showing you the data and making it quantifiable that understanding your equipment and being properly fit for your equipment will help you play better golf.
There's a quest for knowledge, right? To me, anyone, at whatever profession it is, whether it's a doctor or a lawyer, whatever, I know everything, that's not for me. I want the guy that says, I think I know, but maybe someone else knows more. Maybe there's a better way I can do this, or there's a better way I can do that. And then when you have that quest for knowledge, let me find a little more about shafts. Does that really work that way? You do a better job of fitting.
Absolutely.
Do you ever look at hoop and torque?
I look at torque, hoop a little bit. Torque is very interesting. Comparing, you have, two shafts that have the same exact profile, and you're like, why would they feel different? And then you measure the torque, and then you look and you go, oh, well, that's why they feel different.
Yeah.
One's got 1 more degree torque, it's going to make it feel completely different. Before, you wouldn't, it's softer, and then, when you just check the frequency, or you go, well, they're the same. I don't use that as much as I really use the curves. That's most of it. But I will look at torque, and especially you get a player coming in complaining about feel of something, and they want it to feel stiffer, or they want it to feel softer.
I'm starting to look at hoop.
Yeah?
Yeah, there are some shafts that show up. I mean, we've all heard that they put this material in and it does this, they put that material in, it does that, and it's supposed to change the hoop strength, and then you actually see one that did say, oh wow, I got to get some feedback on that. What are people saying about that? How does it play out? Because there's this hoop curve that goes like this, and then all of a sudden it goes like that, and you say, I have never seen that before. And I'm talking about Tensi Pros.
I'm going to have to pay more attention to it.
Yeah, it's interesting. So there it is, up in the butt of the shaft. The hoop strength when I'm drawing up, this is a low hoop. This is it won't crush. And so there it is. You're taking the shaft and you're loading it. Where does that load start? Well, it starts right here. Well, guess what? That part of the shaft, you go way back to the speeder discussion about. What was it? Whatever material it was that they didn't have hoop deformation.
Right.
We can see that now. It's there, and you're looking at where that shaft is loading. Well, is it deforming when he's loading it up or not? And so I'm starting to pay attention to this aspect of shafts, hoop strength. Like, we had to put it in there to correct the EI profiles. But now that it's in there and I'm looking at hoop strength in every shaft, I'm going, oh, wait a minute. Have I been two-dimensional fitting and there's 3 dimensions here?
One of the things I noticed is, and it goes back a ways, with good shaft companies, I've never put a lot of effort into the torque part of the shaft. I just figured that most of these guys who are designing and building these shafts knew what that torque was supposed to be, and I don't struggle with that much. I mean, we were talking the other day about the Grand Basara, how that has like 7.5, 8 degrees of torque in it, but I mean, aside from that, and we talked about how somebody can load that shaft, a good player. I mean, that's expensive, good shaft, but all these other ones, whether you talk about the Project X Hazardous, whether it's the green or the black, I just think those guys know what they're doing when it comes to that particular torque setting. And then if that's the really shaft that fits you, I mean, you don't have variations in torque in those shafts that you can go from one model to the next. They don't seem to me to make that big a difference. I just think the manufacturers do a good job with that.
Well, what I see is there's a definite correlation between cost of shaft and torque. You see it, don't you?
Yeah.
So you've got the OEM shaft over here, and then you've got the pro shaft over here, and those torque numbers move.
I think to Frank's point, I think one of the reasons why maybe we pay less attention because we've picked out the cream of the crop from the manufacturers that we know are manufacturing the best quality shafts.
Yeah.
They're giving us the profiles,
Right.
and so we're using those. You have to measure every shaft,
Yeah,
right?
I get
So
to
you
see 'em
see
all.
all
Yeah.
these things come along, which maybe you're measuring, you're going, no, I would never use this. Well, the 3 of us, we're never even going to try it because,
That's an interesting point.
The quality of the shaft, whatever it is, you see it. You see all that stuff. Because we're looking for what's the best. What's the best that we can give for our customers?
Well, he's the reason I don't use the shaft profile machine anymore. He's got them up before I even start to think to measure them for my own.
Well, it takes a lot of time to do. I know he does it really fast, but it takes a lot of time to do it. And when we first got it, we did a lot of. Had a guy just doing them. Now, hey Russ, I'll send you.
I just felt it was imperative when I first bought into this. I said, I need to know how to do this, and more importantly, I need to understand what's happening in order for me to use the software efficiently.
Well, don't you think that helps you understand?
Absolutely.
Okay, this is where it's coming from.
Yeah, absolutely. To me, it was imperative. And now he just stays on top of it. I don't know how he does that, but he does.
I listened to a lot of history tutorials lately. I just put on a history channel and listen for hours.
I
Go
refer
at
to
it.
torque a lot when talking to my customers about golf shafts, because you get the question all the time, why is it so expensive? And you're going to kind of talk about that. Well, you've got a lighter weight and lower torque. It's not going to cost you as much on an off-center hit. That's what you're paying for. It's you don't hit the center of the face every single time. So, it's an easy way to kind of help somebody understand,
I
why
I
they're
have
why
a,
they're
I have a
getting
rough
what they do.
understanding of your handicap, and I think you hit center face most of the time.
The majority.
You're not working enough. Nobody.
My wife would argue that one. But yeah, it's an easy talking point for me because I get that question a lot. We're a public golf course. We're producing a lot of golf clubs that are high performance, and inherently they're more expensive. So, we've got it is what it is, and it's just an easy talking point for me when people ask me, and I could just go right to torque. I think it's something that the discerning player can understand relatively easily.
Ultimate value is performance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the ultimate value. Do I buy something and spend my money and it doesn't work, or I spend a little bit more and get something that's going to work and work for a long time?
Absolutely.
And one thing to add to that too is, I have a lot of customers will come in, like the new Riptide that's out now, Callaway's offering that as a stock shaft. But, customer will say to me, well, why is that a $300, $350 upgrade? I can order that from Callaway. Well, it's not a small batch shaft that they're giving you. And do you do any of those OEM shafts, Russ? Because I don't really look at those.
I've always intended to do them. There's just so much to do.
I know,
Yeah.
I know, that's an unfair
To
question.
that point,
I
when
do
we
have-
first got the machine, because we couldn't get components only. So we tested a whole bunch of shafts, and some of them were okay, and then some of them were, oh my gosh. And, I mean, the same exact labeling, the same exact everything, and 3 different shafts in 3 different models. How could it totally, one tip, one stuff, I mean, just not even close to being the same.
Yeah. We have all of the fitting carts, and it's always been my intention to just empty one of the fitting carts out, take it home, pop all the tips, run them through the process, and then take them back to the range in a couple of days. So hopefully we'll get there.
You let me know when you're ready, because I got a bunch that I'd be happy to send you.
Yeah, well, I do have some people that send shafts to me before they put them into their system, because not all of the manufacturers send me all the products. And so, there are some fitters out there that say, I have that brand, and they show up in a box, and he gets them back a week or 2 later
There
with
are
all the
many.
profiles there.
There are many
No,
that
it's
you
not
haven't
many.
covered, I mean.
But that's the nice
Very
thing
few.
about Russ, is that if there's some shaft that you want to carry, because
Yeah.
it's something you found, you can send them the shafts and you can send the system.
They're in the system, and then everybody looks at them. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I have some people that won't send me shafts because I don't think they want me to look at them.
It's also a great tool to make sure you don't have something identical in your fitting matrix.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
use it for that reason a lot too. I come out with new stuff all the time. I only have so much room on my wall, and often if I want to put something new on the wall, I have to take something down. So it's just good to know and good to see that, if I'm putting something new up there, I truly am putting something new up there and bringing something new to the table for my customers.
Well, guys, thanks so much for doing this.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having
Yeah,
us.
thanks for
I
having
know
us.
you've all got busy schedules. I see you looking at your watch from time to time. Yeah.
Oh, I'm running. I don't get
Yeah.
to breathe here at these shows.
So thanks, guys.
Thank
And
you.
Woody, I will see you Friday.
Excellent.
Yeah?
Thanks,
Okay.
Russ.
Thanks, Russ.
Thank
Thanks,
you,
guys.
and thanks for spending your time with us.